Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Tangled Up in Books. So today's video is an original, I don't know why I did that. It's an original book tag. I was on the train like a week and a half ago and I came up with this idea and I was like, I really want to do an I Love Lucy book tag. I Love Lucy is one of my favorite shows and I've never seen someone do an I Love Lucy book tag, so I decided to create one. So this is what this is. So just in case you don't know what I Love Lucy is, I Love Lucy is a TV show that the first episode premiered on October 15th, 1951, and the show ended on May 6th, 1957. So this show was created by Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, which Lucille Ball is a very famous comedian. She's like hilarious. So they had a television company called Desilu and they created this show. Lucille Ball starred as Lucy Ricardo, Desi Arnaz played Ricky Ricardo, and then William Farley played Fred Mertz, and Vivian Vance played Ethel Mertz, which Ethel and Fred were their BFFs, also their landlords in the apartment that they lived in New York City. So basically, long story short, I Love Lucy is a comedy show that came out in the 50s. It was really popular and it's like a like, I don't know, like anyone that has not heard of it because it was really popular and they still like run reruns like till this day. And I obviously I wasn't born in the 50s, or I wasn't alive when the show first premiered. I was introduced to it when they will play it, when they will give the show during Nick at Night on Nickelodeon. And that's how I learned of it, and that's how I fell in love. Me and my sister, we like loved watching Nick at Night and all those like old TV shows, and I Love Lucy was one of our favorites. So I've been babbling on for a while, so let's just get into the book tag. So the first part of this book tag is I focus on some of the characters and made up questions that related to the characters, and then the other part then I have 4 questions based on really famous episodes. So the first question is, Lucy, character from a book do you find really funny? So for this question, I chose Danny from Shopaholic Ties the Knot by Sophie Kinsella. This is the first book that he is introduced in. So obviously this is the book where Becky and spoilers, I mean like ties the knot, but whatever. This is the book where Becky and Luke get married, and there's some crazy stuff that happens, but basically this is the episode. This is the book that Danny is introduced, which Danny is Becky and Luke's upstairs neighbor, and he is one of like Becky's best friends in New York, because at this point Luke and Becky are living in New York, and Danny is like her best friend in New York because Suze is still back in England. He's trying to become a fashion designer. His personality is just so hilarious, and anytime that he makes an appearance in this book and then in the later books, I'm just like, yes, Danny is back. I love him. He's so funny. He's so ridiculous. So like after like meeting him in this book and getting to know him, and then later on in the series, anytime he pops up, I'm like, yes, Danny is back. Things are gonna get interesting. The next question is Ethel, a book BFF who ends up getting roped into their friend's shenanigans. So basically, Lucy is always coming up with these crazy ideas, and Ethel always gets kind of roped. I mean, she makes her own decisions to go along with it, but Lucy always convinces her to partake in her shenanigans, into the craziness, into her crazy whatever crazy plan she has for the episode. Who always goes along with their friends' ideas even when they know that their whatever plan their friend has may not be the best idea, but they support their friend so much that they're like, you know, because I love you, I'll do it, I'll help you with this. And I had a little bit of trouble trying to come up with a character for this question, but I think I came up with a good one. And I'm gonna go with Jules from Three Dark Crowns by Kendall Blake. I feel like Jules is not like Arsenal is like, oh, do this, do that. It's not like that. It's just Arsenal has these, like, it was this one main, Arsenal comes up with like these ideas to help her out in the situation that she's in. And Jules, she always helps out Arsenal in any way that Arsenal needs her to help her in, even when the plan that Arsenal has may be dangerous. Not maybe, they are dangerous. Jules always has Arsenal's back. So I think that Jules is a good answer for this question. I feel like Ethel is the same way. She, Lucy is her best friend, so she would do anything that Lucy will ask her to, will help her out in any situation that Lucy needs her to help her in. The same way that I feel that Jules will help out Arsenal in any way that Arsenal needs her help in. So that's the answer I came up with for this question. So the next question is, Fred, a book that you got a really good deal on. So if you don't know, Fred is really cheap. He doesn't like to spend his money, and he never likes to buy anything for Ethel or buy anything at all. He's all about saving, he's all about making money and not spending money. So the question, like I said, is a book you got a really good deal on. So for this, I'm gonna go with Fire and Stars by Audrey Coulthers. So I got this book at a book fair for $2. Yeah, brand new book, hardcover. Oh yeah, I still have the post that they put on it. $2, hardcover, brand new. So yeah, so at this book fair, it's for a community program, and they always hold this book fair every year, and it's brand new books, 50% off. But sometimes, you know, you could get them. Certain books they sell for cheaper. Like, obviously, this was not just 50% off; it was more than 50%. It was the only one they had, so I think that's what she said, that I could just have it for $2, and I was like, thank you. Well, what was that? The next question is, Ricky, a book that you read in a different language or a book that you want to read in a different language? So for this question, I'm gonna go with Confessions of a Shopaholic by Sophie Kinsella. So I speak English, obviously, and I speak Spanish as well, but I really want to learn how to speak French. And I've heard that it helps when you're learning a new language to read. It's helpful to read a book that you already read and that you've enjoyed, to read that in the language that you're learning. I am not currently trying to learn French, but once once I start on that journey of trying to learn French, I will love to be able to one day read Confessions of a Shopaholic in French. I think that'd be cool. I just hit myself on the face. Why are there so many planes today? The next question is Little Ricky, which is Lucy and Ricky's son. Your favorite or cutest kid in a book? So for this question, I'm going with, I'm trying to remember his name, but I'm gonna go with the little brother in A Short History of the Girl Next Door by Jared Reck. So the main character, Matt, that was his name, right? I don't remember people's names. Yes, the main character, Matt, he has a little brother, and I found his little brother adorable. So I'm gonna go with the little brother from A Short History of the Girl Next Door. The next question is Mrs. Trumble, a character or book that you did not like at first, but then ended up growing to love. So for this question, I'm going with Thorn from the Lunar Chronicles. So I'm holding the book Crest because Thorn is actually introduced in Scarlet, the second book. But in Scarlet, that's the book where I did not like Thorn. Like, he is so annoying, so cocky. But then in Crest, that is when I ended up like, I'm like, okay, he ended up growing on me. I'm like, okay, I'm really liking this character now. And then after that, from Crest, through Winter, through Wires and Nerves, I absolutely love him. He is so funny. And yeah, the reason why this is the question for Mrs. Trumble is the fact that in I think she's introduced, yeah, she's introduced when Ricky and Lucy have their baby, and Mrs. Trumble is really annoyed with the baby because he keeps crying, and it's not, and the baby's not letting him sleep. She ends up threatening, like calling the cops, because technically they're not supposed to have in that apartment, but then it's like a no kid building, so they aren't supposed to have children there. So she was unlikable at first, but then by the end of the episode, you like, it's like fine. And then like throughout the rest of the series, she like really falls in love with little Ricky, and you end up like really loving Mrs. Trumble as well. So that's why I chose this question from Mrs. Trumble. But yeah, so Thorn is a character that I did not like at first, but then I ended up growing to like. Now there are 4 questions left, and these are the episode questions. So I basically looked up like iconic episodes, and I just chose 4. So the first episode or question is Lucy and John Wayne. This is season 5, episode 2. So in this episode, I'm gonna give a little bit like a background for the episode for kids, people who haven't seen. So basically in this episode, the Ricardos and the Mertes are off in California. Their California trip is coming to an end, so they're trying to hit up all the rest of the places they really wanted to visit while they were in California. So they end up at I'm not sure to pronounce it. It's Romans Chinese theater. So it's where they have like footprints of like celebrities like out in front, and John Wayne's is one of the footprints that they have. And while they're there, Lucy discovers that the John Wayne's footprints, his cement block is loose. So what does Lucy think of? She thinks this is the perfect souvenir to take back home to New York. So they Lucy comes up with a plan. We're gonna come back with Ethel. We're gonna come back here at night, and we're gonna take the footprints because they're loose. So let's just take them, because you know that's what people do. So the question for this episode is a book where a plan backfires. So in this episode, Lucy thought, is it simple? We're just gonna go back. We're gonna come back here at night, Ethel, and we're gonna take the footprints and we're gonna take it back home. End of story. But it completely blows up in her face, and it just it gets crazy. So a book where there's a plan to do something and it does not go according to plan. So the book that I chose for this question is Kill the Boy Band by Goldie Mondowski. This group of girlfriends and their favorite boy band, the Ruperts, are gonna be in a hotel because they have a concert. So they have this plan. We're like, oh, we want to meet them. So we're going to we're gonna get a room in that hotel, and we're gonna try to meet them. Simple, nothing crazy. And then stuff hits the fan. And their simple plan just completely goes out the window, and they get into some deep water, and yeah, their plan just, it completely goes out the window. And things get crazy, like kill the boy band. Yeah. Like, okay, so like in the inside flap it says like literally like this does not go to plan. Just know from the start that it wasn't supposed to go like this. All we wanted was to get near them. That's why we got a room in the hotel where they were staying. We were not planning to kidnap one of them, especially not the most useless one. But we had him, his room key, his cell phone, and his secrets. We were not planning on what happened next, we swear. So yeah, so they just went there to get close to their favorite boy band like any other fangirl. And things got crazy. So the next question or episode is Lucy's Italian movie, which this was season 5, episode 23. So in this episode, the Ricardos and the Mertens are off in Europe and they are traveling. I can't remember from where, but they were traveling to Italy, from one country in Europe to Italy on a train. And this director guy, I think it was director, he sees Lucy. He's like, oh, I want you to be in my movie. So she obviously thinks like, oh, I'm gonna be like the lead or something. And she finds out kind of what the movie's about, so she decides she has to do research for this role. So she goes to a vineyard in Italy where they make wine, like where they make wine how it used to be by stomping on the grapes. So she's like, I need to do research, I'm gonna go to this place. And yeah, and then things go crazy because any plans that Lucy makes ends up going crazy. So the question for this answer is since it's called Lucy's Italian movie, the question is, you can either answer your favorite book to movie adaptation or a book to movie adaptation that you're looking forward to. So for this question, my answer is There's Another Plane. Can You Keep a Secret by Sophie Kinsella. So this was recently announced that it was being turned into a movie, and I have a video where it's like all the details we have so far about the movie. I'll link it up there so you can check that out. And there are some more news. Well, there's only one thing. I know that they started filming. So yeah, so that's exciting. I mean, I'm super excited about it. And yeah, and I hope that they do a better job. I still like the Confession of a Shopaholic movie, but I hope they do a better job of bringing this book to life. But I'm still really excited about it. So yeah, so that's my answer. So the next question or episode is Lucy Does a TV Commercial, which this was season 1, episode 30. So basically in this episode, Ricky needs someone to play, to do a commercial for like a show that he's doing. So Lucy ends up, she wants to be the girl who does commercials, so she ends up telling the girl who Ricky hires that they hire somebody else, and then she takes the girl's place. The commercial is this thing called Vita Vita Vegemin, which is like to like give you energy or something. But basically, it's revealed that the Vita Vegemin has like 23% alcohol in it, and when she keeps rehearsing, she has to take a spoonful. So she keeps like having to take spoonfuls of it, so she ends up taking a lot, so she ends up getting drunk. so the question for this episode is a book that gave you a book hangover. So for this question, I'm going with Winter by Marissa Meyer. This is the conclusion to the Lunar Chronicles. And yeah, this book was really long. It was like a little over 800 pages. And I felt like it was a really great conclusion to a series. And to me, a book hangover is when you read like such a great book that you can't stop thinking about it even after you finish it and you have a hard time like picking up, like you need a break between finishing that book and the next book, because it's just you needed to like settle in, because it was just like you found it like just that amazing. So Winter definitely gave me that feeling. After I stopped reading it, I couldn't stop thinking about it because it was just so good. At least I felt I really liked it. So this book definitely gave me a book hangover. We're at the end, guys. So the last question, episode question, is job switching, which was in season 2, episode 1. In this episode, Lucy and Ethel are complaining to Ricky and Fred how being housewives is really hard, and that Fred and Ricky have it easier, and that them like going up. Well, Ricky, he's a band leader, so he just goes off to work and does that, and then Fred, he runs the building. So they're like, your job is so much easier, like our job is so hard being housewives. And then Ricky and Fred are like, are you kidding me? Our jobs are so hard. You guys as housewives just stay at home all day and do nothing and play canasta. So they make a bet, and they're like, okay, we're gonna switch jobs. So the girls end up having to go out and find a job and work it, and the guys stay home and run the house. And again, like all I Love Lucy episodes, things just go bonkers. And also, if you don't know, this is like one of the most famous episodes, and because of one scene. I'll put a picture up right here so you could like see a little bit. But yeah, like that's like a really famous scene from the series. So the question for this is a character that felt that somebody else's life was so much easier, and that they felt that if they had their life, things would just be so much more amazing. So for this question, I'm going with, what's her name, Katie? Katie from My Not So Perfect Life by Sophie Kinsella. So obviously you could tell from the title that Katie felt that her life was pretty bad, and she was just always striving to have like this perfect life, and she was just like, oh, once I do this and have this and this and that, life will be perfect. And yeah, so basically she really like thought that her boss, she was like obsessed with her boss, and she Demeter, and she felt that her boss Demeter had the perfect life, and that's what she wanted. But then as the book goes along, she realizes that Demeter's life is not what it seems like, and that Demeter has her problems, and that life isn't greener on the other side. So yeah, that's what I'm going with this question. So that's it. That's the end of my I Love Lucy tag. I hope you enjoyed. And so I'm not sure like one person to tag, so I'm just gonna so anyone that wants to do this tag, go ahead and do it. And also, if you do this tag, please let me know. You can link it down below so I could check them out, and hopefully somebody does this tag, because I thought it was fun. And I Love Lucy is one of my favorite like old shows. So this was fun and interesting to come up with these questions, and to film this and come up with answers for the questions. So yeah, that's it. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to become a member of our little family here in Tangled Up in Books. And like always, all of our social media links will be linked down below in the description box, so you could check those out and follow us on those. Oh, and also I wore red lipstick because Lucy and her iconic red lips, so that's why I'm wearing that. So yeah, that's it. This video is so long. I'll catch you guys here next time in Tangled Up in Books.